Open your Bibles, please, to Daniel chapter 6. We've been talking about in the year of the harvest, this is a year of hard work. Prosperity doesn't flow to us in a harvest. Yes, everybody says sow your seed, and God will give you a harvest. But nobody talks about how to get the harvest. So we're taking maybe 6 or 8 months just teaching you in this year of the harvest how to receive your harvest. And one of the striking things that hit everybody from the very beginning in January was harvest season is a season of hard work. It will be the hardest working time of your life because God doesn't just fill up our bank accounts, He gives us work to do. Look at the person next to you and say, gives me work to do. This will be the most overtime you've ever done in your office. He's going to give you lots of work to do, lots of things to do so that He can bless the work of your hands. Now, we've talked about the fact that in this season of harvest, different companies and different types of people get different harvests in different ways. If you are a salesperson, God gives you a harvest by putting favor upon your life, and more clients come to you, and companies pay you your commissions on time. If you're a business owner, God prospers you by bringing you more clients and giving you good suppliers for products to sell. But we're focusing these last few weeks, it could take us quite a few more weeks, on careers, because most of us are professionals. We have careers. Now, if you're going to receive a harvest as a career person, you have to know biblically how to work with God, how to put works with your faith so that there is promotion and increase. Now, many people have come to me through the years and they say, Pastor Sumrall, how do I get a harvest? I'm a person who works for a salary. I have a career. Well, you get a promotion and an increase. Well, Pastor, it's not that much, but forgive me, if you get a 10,000 peso per month salary increase, you're looking at 5 million pesos over the rest of your career. How many of you would like 5 million? Would you raise your hand up high? So don't look at things and think, well, my harvest didn't come all at once. No, sometimes your harvest, everybody say, it flows like a river. Now let's pick up with Daniel chapter 6, beginning with verse 1. It pleased Darius to appoint 120 satraps to rule throughout the kingdom, with 3 administrators over them, one of whom was Daniel. The satraps were made accountable to them so that the king might not suffer loss. Now, last time we studied the fact that if we're going to have promotion, we're going to be people of character. Character not only brings reward, but character brings promotion. Everybody say, character brings promotion. People in top leadership are looking for people who can hold others accountable, and they're looking for people who will make sure that there are no losses. That takes character. So when people look at you and say that by being honest and having integrity, and they tell you good guys come in last, that's not true. That's a lie of the devil. Integrity will make you one of these people that is sought after for top positions of leadership. Now it continues in verse 3. Now Daniel was so distinguished among the administrators and satraps by his exceptional qualities that the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. Now, I keep dropping this seed. I dropped it last week. I'll drop it again today. In a few weeks, we're going to pick it up and just unbox this thing beautifully. But I want you to notice the word quality there is the Hebrew word ruah, which means spirit. It means what? Paul told the church on Thessalonica that we are body, soul, and spirit. We are a spirit being. We have a body, and we have a soul. Now, too often you and I think about the body and we think about the soul, but we don't understand that an exceptional spirit will distinguish you. Everybody say, an exceptional spirit sets me apart. But we'll get into that in a few weeks. Today I want to back up and just look at your body. Everybody say, my body. If you are going to get promotions, it's going to take body, soul, and spirit to receive a promotion, working with God, putting works with your faith. Now, we don't like to hear the idea about physical appearance has something to do with our promotions, but it does. I sat down with a young man one day and was talking to him about his appearance. And he said, Pastor, Jesus said that, the body is more important than clothes. And he partly correctly said the scriptures, Luke 12, verse 22 and 23. Then Jesus said to his disciples, therefore I tell you, don't worry about your life or what you will eat or your body, what you will wear. Life is more than food and the body more than clothes. But what Jesus is talking about there is avarice. He's talking about greed. He's talking about learning to have simple trust that God will provide. He is not giving you a recipe for being unkempt. Everybody say undisciplined and unkept. He's not giving you a recipe for, here's an Ingtag word, pungification. Everybody say being pungit. Say it again. He's not giving you an excuse for that and saying, it doesn't matter how you look. It does matter how you look. I want you to remember with me, 1 Samuel 16, verse 7. The Lord said to Samuel, this is God talking, Samuel, do not consider his appearance or height, for I have rejected him. Okay, God didn't tell Samuel not to do this because this wise old prophet was looking at appearance. What was the wise old prophet looking at? The Lord does not look at the things man looks at. Man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. Now, we all love that last part. God looks at the heart. But God told us a very important truth. People look at appearance. What do people look at? People look at appearance. People look at our physical appearance when they make decisions about us. When people are evaluating you for a promotion, when people are evaluating you for a job, when you go in to apply for a job, people look at you. And have you ever noticed they look you over? Look at the person next to you and say, they look me over. Say it again. They're making evaluations about who you are based on your appearance. You say, well, Pastor Sumrall, they can't see my heart. Only God can see my heart. Yes, but they are judging you based on your appearance. Now, this is how Daniel and his 3 friends got their first opportunity, their first open door, and how King David got his first open door in life. Daniel chapter 1, beginning with verse 3. Then the king ordered Ashpenaz, chief of his court officials, to bring in some of the Israelites from the royal family nobility, young men without any physical defect, handsome. Everybody say, handsome. 1 Samuel 16, verse 18, talking about King David as a young man. One of the servants answered King Saul, I have seen, he said, I've been looking at people. I have seen the son of Jesse of Bethlehem, who knows how to play the harp. He's a brave man and a warrior. He speaks well and is a fine-looking man. Everybody say, fine-looking man. So both of these young men and the 3 friends with Daniel were chosen in part based on appearance. Everybody say, appearance. When people begin to evaluate you for promotions and opportunities in your careers, they are going to look at your appearance. Now, at some point, you and I have to realize this and begin to dress for where we want to go. Halimbawa. I was talking with a young man early one morning. They'd just gotten off their night shift work at the call center. I was in a Starbucks 4:30 in the morning there in Northgate and getting a cup of coffee before I went on some hospital visits, and this young man was there. And I'd known him since he was a boy, and I saw him, and he looked like he'd been camping in the mountains for 2 weeks and had been wearing the same pair of pants for 2 weeks and sleeping in them, and the same T-shirt for 2 weeks and sleeping in it, and it was all wrinkled and nasty, and his hair was a mess. And I looked at him and I said, where have you been? He said, at work. I said, looking like that? He said, oh, Pastor, this is how we dress at night shift. And I said, would you like a promotion to day shift? He said, oh, yes, Pastor. I said, then dress like day shift. Don't dress like night shift. Are we still here? See, people are looking at you and they're thinking, no, they're such a slob. This is when all the clients come by. They're such a slob. They're so unkempt. They're never going to give you a promotion. Now, I don't know what it is. And please, young people, don't get mad at me. I'm not putting anybody down. But let's just, everybody say, honest talk. Back in the 80s, and I know that makes me sound really old to say, but back in the 80s, we could come out of a squatter shack, but we looked good. How many of you remember what I'm talking about? I mean, we'd come out of a squatter shack, but we'd look good. We didn't have much, but what we had, we looked good. We had pride in our appearance. Now, young people, you've grown up in blessing. You've grown up knowing the goodness of God. You've grown up in prosperity in your home. Why are you trying to dress like you grew up in a Roma when you grew up in a beautiful home? Excuse me. It just got quiet in here. Everybody say, dress with some dignity. Now, we're not talking about being, Miss Beauty Pageant Queen, and we're not talking about being Mr. Muscles with the six-pack. We're just talking about taking some pride in our appearance. Everybody say, take some pride in my appearance. Back in the early 80s, we had this one pastor on staff, really, really nice guy. But it was a constant challenge because he would never polish his shoes and he would never iron his shirt, and he'd show up in this white barong and it was not ironed and his teeth weren't brushed, and but early evening, you could still see the show pile from breakfast in his teeth, and sometimes that would go a couple of days and it would be green. And I'd say, would you please brush your teeth? I said, you have a nice smile, but when you smile at people, everybody turns away because they're embarrassed because of what things look like growing in between your teeth. We had another young lady, pastor on staff, in high heels. And, she'd be standing there talking to members, and all of a sudden, and spit. And everybody would go, and I'd say, would you please have a little self-respect? The members, they want to listen to you teach the Bible, but the whole time they're listening to you teach the Bible, all they can remember is what you just did in front of them 5 minutes ago. Everybody say, a little dignity. Now, how many of you want a promotion? Want a promotion? Put your hands up high. Then dress for it. If your goal is to have that position, then dress like the people in that position dress. If people can't see you in that office, if they can't see you in that position because you're such an unkept person, you're never going to get the promotion. Put some works with your faith. Dress well. Everybody say, dress well. I'm not talking about 25,000 peso barongs and 50,000 peso shoes, and I'm not talking about Mickey Moto pearls, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just you always take pride in your appearance. Ladies, do your hair. I learned a new phrase last Sunday morning from my daughter. Kilay is life. Do your makeup. We're not talking about looking like you went to Bello every day, but just, do your thing, do your hair. Guys, brush your teeth. Hello, guys. Do your hair, put the clay in your hair, do all that stuff. But just take some pride in your appearance. Look at the person next to you and say, take some pride in my appearance. Anybody want to shoot me? This is the simplest thing I could tell you about getting a promotion. People look at your appearance. Take some pride in your appearance. All right, that's my offering thought. Nobody.